My name is Joya and I am a fourth-year medical student here at University of Pittsburgh. My husband and my daughter, and actually my 3 stepchildren, live in Boulder, Colorado. Because of my husband's job, they chose to stay there. He's a tenured professor at University of Colorado. So that's been, I guess, a special challenge for me. People do have kids during med school. Another one of my friends just had a baby last fall, and in the middle of 4th year and trying to handle interviews and rotations, it's definitely tough, but people do it. Pitt came up on my list of schools that were really great for non-traditionals, and it's actually the main reason that I initiated my application here. The other parts that I really liked about Pitt were the research opportunities. I knew coming into medical school that research was something that I wanted to pursue. Even though I didn't love basic research as an undergraduate, later on when I got involved in research actually kind of as side projects during my corporate career, I thought that this would be something that I would want to continue doing. People ask me to look back on medical school like, oh, what is it like? And I always say, it's at least as hard as everyone says it is, if not harder than that. I think the first 2 years are a particular challenge for those of us that have had a break from school. It doesn't mean that we haven't been working really hard, but it's a very different mode of working from studying and memorizing. It's just a different process. But I think in the 3rd year, especially for the non-traditional student, it's really when we start to bring in our previous life experiences and our interactions with the patients and with the teams. So overall, I would say it's been great. The clinical training here I think is fantastic. The research opportunities are amazing, and Pittsburgh is a great city. I absolutely love it here.
My name is Yamil. I'm a first year. I'm from Southwest Philadelphia. I've always been interested in medicine since I was a kid. So my pediatrician was my mother's pediatrician as well, Dr. Whitney. When I would go to the doctor's office, we would talk about more things than just, me being sick. He would ask me about school and things. High school, I didn't really have too much freedom because I had 2 jobs and stuff like that because I'm trying to help my mom pay bills and stuff. I think I barely got over 3. I got a 3.04 my fall semester. And so I was talking to someone, one of the upperclassmen that I met who was in my fraternity, and he was telling me, don't you want to be a doctor? You do realize you can get grades, barely make 3.0s. You need to, do really well and, know everything. I was like, well, I'm hanging out. He was like, well, that's not what it's going to take. And he said that if you wanted to be a physician, that you were going to have to step it up, or they will always just be dreams. And I was thinking about I don't want to have to come back. I want to actually do what I said I was going to do, make options for myself, really take advantage of the opportunity that I had. I had the college experience, because in the fall, I won Homecoming King. I got a 3.95 that semester. In the spring, I got sick, though. So I got meningitis. It was the last week of March. My mom believed that I was maybe pushing myself too hard. I was doing too much. I needed to, calm down. So I didn't really think I would be ready to go into med school at that point in time. So I didn't go traditionally. Instead of going traditional, I did Teach for America. I think it allows me to communicate with patients a whole lot better. I feel like it taught me more about service, how you could be a servant leader. I had gang members and stuff in my class. This was in Camden, New Jersey. It was one of the murder capitals of the country. So I created this this model. It's this classroom theme called swag, right? You're cool, swag, swagger. But what I wanted it to mean in my classroom was that students will achieve greatness. So I used to have other students come to my class and sit in my class. People would come to lunch. I'm like, it's lunchtime. I'm no, we want to kick it with you. It boosted their confidence. I started my 2nd year as a 7th grade science teacher. That was great because I just took everything that I learned. But now I had 7th graders. They were so young and malleable. So I could change the direction of their life before they got to where some of my other students got. You're $1 million sitting in the seat you don't even know.
Dan Van Rokel, just graduated from Pitt Med. I was in the film industry for several years. I was on lighting crews where I did electrician's work and grip work. And I was an assistant editor and sound editor for Nova 2 or 3 years. And then I became a technical instructor for photography and video at MIT in the visual arts program there. I had that job for 7 years before starting medical school. And I was thinking about switching careers. So I started thinking about that I had to be good at math and science. I had this kind of altruistic wanting to help people. I started thinking about medicine. I think there's a problem solving that I enjoy about radiology. Being kind of a techie on the film crews, figuring out how you're going to make this work. One thing I did do while I was here as a medical student is between the 1st and 2nd year, I went to Haiti for a week on a service trip with Dr. Latanzi. I want to somehow be able to combine my radiology with this aspect of doing global health
I went to Notre Dame. I did fiction writing. So the thesis didn't turn out, but it was footwork for stuff that came later. So I moved to Pittsburgh in 2006. My wife grew up in the area, so she had enrolled at Pitt as a PhD student in history. And I said, I can write anywhere, so I moved out here with her. And then I said, I need a way to support myself while I write. And I'd been a lifeguard back in high school and had been sort of impressed by the EMTs and paramedics who taught our first responder course. So I decided that could be an interesting thing to do. If nothing else, I'd get some good stories from it. And about 2009, I said, I would like to write something like when I read for fun, what I might read. And I read a lot of fantasy, so Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, and George R.R. Martin. So that was a lengthy project. I spent about 2 years, right up through the first year of medical school, on the primary writing of it, and then about another 2 years in revisions on it. And finally, the 30th agent I sent it to said, I really think there's something here. Went through an additional rewrite, and then in November of last year, she finally sent it out to a number of different publishing houses. So that'll come out in 2015 from Simon & Schuster. Very excited about it. Title's still to come. We had talked about maybe having a baby earlier in third year. We were fortunate in the way that it worked out. So it was after the match. It was after the courses were, you have to spend 80 hours in the hospital. We were lucky in that my son, who was born on March 23rd, was a spring baby and did not come in the middle of my AI last year.
I was always interested in medicine and history, and that was at Stanford back in the 80s and early 90s. I was thinking about going to medical school back then, but I just don't think I was mature enough to handle what medicine brings. I loved writing about medicine, just not doing it. I applied for and got a tenure-track job at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I taught British history, which was my area of specialization, and history of medicine. And along the way, I started missing medicine. A lot of the work I was doing was basically reading charts and all of the documentation. And I realized that I wanted to be doing that. It's actually been really helpful when you're a professor. You have to be able to walk into a room, grab people's attention, convey information in succinct, clear ways in a very short amount of time and get people to retain that. And that's exactly what you have to do, for example, in outpatient clinics. You get 15 minutes with your patients. You have to connect with them, find out what's going on with them that day, find out what problems they've been having, make a plan for them, and get them on their way. And, it's also been helpful to sort of have a big picture perspective. Having had a real job and having to balance life and family with work, I feel like I can really relate to my patients in a way that I think might be more difficult if I had just come straight through the traditional route.